Hey guys, what's up? Paul here. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully it's helpful for you. I just wanted to make a video to kind of go over how we're using Live Professor for our broadcast audio scenario, and how it's patched and how we're getting the audio out of the Dante network into Live Professor, out of Live Professor and into the X32, and then out of the X32 back into Live Professor and then back into the Dante network, and why we have it set up like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, take a look at this video. If you like it, hit the like button and subscribe, please. And if you see something that you have a question about, throw it in the comments. Thanks. Okay, guys, so we're on the computer looking at Live Professor, and I'm not going to go into the details of how Live Professor works. I've gone through some of those details in another video, but basically I just want to go through the patch and where everything is and how it sits. So what we're doing, if we go into audio MIDI options and inputs and outputs, there's a bunch of stuff going on here, and you'll see there's actually like duplicates of things going on as well. So it's a little bit overwhelming if it's not like kept track of. But basically what's happening is it's set up as, if we go here, you'll see the Macs allow you to set up an aggregate device. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Basically, you can combine multiple audio devices into one. So the software sees multiple devices as one audio device or audio interface. What that allows us to do is patch things in a creative way. So basically, what we're doing is using Live Professor as a bridge to get the audio from the Dante network into the console through the USB cable, and then back out of the USB cable into Live Professor and then back into the Dante. One reason for that is it was a more cost-effective way to get Dante into the X32 without having to buy the Dante card. And the other thing is we still wanted to continue to use Live Professor to run plugins anyway. So what was the point of buying the Dante card if we're just going to patch all the audio into Live Professor and then back out anyway? We might as well just patch it into Live Professor, and then instead of going out of Live Professor into the Dante network, into the Dante card in the console, why don't we just save the money and just go from Dante into Live Professor and then out into the USB cable into the console, and then out of the console via the USB cable into Live Professor and then back into the Dante network. So if we go to this view, it's a little bit easier to see versus the patch view. But this last change, so we have inputs all the way down 1 through 32, right? And so that's all inputs 1 through 32 on the USB card on the X32, okay? And then however you have the inputs patched is how you have them patched. So like the triggers are coming from Dante that are different inputs versus everything else is 1 to 1, 1 through 32. Now, this last chain here is master bus to Dante. What does that mean? So that we're using that basically in reverse directions. So we're getting the main mix off our master bus on the console. It's coming in 31 and 32 from the USB expansion right here. And then it's outputting 31 and 32 on the Dante network, going back into our network out of Live Professor. So basically, it's just how it's patched. So the master bus on the X32 is patched a certain way to show up as outputs 31 and 32 on the USB cable, on the expansion card, into the computer, into Live Professor. And then that, which are these two, so that's left and right. And then this chain here, this last chain, the output, then is outputting to output 31 and 32 as the Dante device. So on the Dante network, you'll see 31 and 32 is the live stream mix. So if we were to go to, oops, not that one, the Dante controller software, so we can see the Dante universe once it opens. We could go to device info, back of house audio processing, and then go to transmit. And then if we went down and looked at 31 and 32, even though they're not labeled, this is where the master mixes coming. So if we look at routing, and we can go to transmitters, back of house processing, we should see right there. 31 and 32 is patched to this device, live stream feed to switcher. So what this is, and that's another thing that I'll show you in a second, is so we get our main mix, our master bus mix, that's all mastered into the Dante network, and then it's patched to an Aveo interface that's made by Audient, and then that's going right into our switcher. So basically it's out of Live Professor into the Dante network, out of the Dante network into this little Aveo interface. It's a 2-channel output device, and then that is our feed into the switcher, which goes directly to the live stream. So that is how it's. So if this got mispatched, we would lose our feed to the live stream. So, yeah. So I hope that makes sense. And now I'll take you up to our switching room and kind of show you, so you can actually see the device and what it's doing. Okay, guys. So we're kind of looking at the brain of the operations. It's a Blackmagic ATEM switcher. It's the older gen, but it still works. Patch panel, all the video lines, some scalers, batteries, bunch of stuff. But what I wanted to show you is if we go into the back here, kind of look around all these wires. There's this Dante Aveo interface. It's PoE, so it's powered over Ethernet from the router, or the switch rather. And it has 2 XLR outputs right here that are going into the back. It's kind of hard to see, but it's going into the back of the switcher. So basically that patch that was in the Dante network, patching that goes right to that device, and it goes right into the switch, the video switcher. So then if we go and look at the multi-view, that signal will feed right into the left-right then. It's right into the analog inputs on the switcher. So it really simplifies things quite a bit, and allows us to move that stuff anytime we wanted to anywhere in the building, as long as we had a hardwired network connection. So it's a slick setup. So that's kind of an overview of how our Dante system is working. We're using Dante for a bunch of other things as well. We have Live Professor, an instance of it running at front of house. That's where we're doing our pitch correction. There's other things in the signal flow that I probably will go over at some point in time. But the basics of it is audio comes from our front of house console, different channels. Some of them are direct out, some of them are subgroups. And then it goes into the Dante network, into Live Professor on that machine, out the USB cable, into the X32, out of the master bus patching on the X32, back into Live Professor, and then into the Dante network, and then out of the Dante network into the Aveo interface. And that's how our signal flow is moving, and that's how we're literally doing it 300 feet away from where the video switching is actually happening. So it's really making use of the Dante protocol, and it has been a great solution for us. We haven't had any issues with it. So I hope that kind of made sense. Basically, we're doing a bunch of extra patching, but if you wanted to do this setup, basically you could just do 1 through 32 or 1 through 16 or however many channels you have, and just keep it simple, patch it 1 to 1, and then your output then has to get patched and then back into your switcher. So that's kind of how we're doing it. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. If the video was helpful, like it, and then subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you get notified whenever I post a video. But thanks so much for watching the video, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see, anything that I kind of glazed over that you want me to go into more detail on. So yeah, thanks.